I am Jessie the Sleepy Koala because I'm Australian and tired. Today, I would like to talk to you about the cytoverse, the Skyward series. There are a bunch of new books coming out at the moment. We have the third book in the series, Cytonic, coming out in November. We have 3 novellas that happen alongside Cytonic. One that's just come out, Sunreach. Next one comes out at the end of October, ReDawn, and the last one comes out in December, Evershore. So there's a lot of material out there. So I thought I would do some recaps to try and help people who don't quite remember what happened and to give them a quick refresh. There are definitely more in-depth things out there. I know the Accompanying has chapter-by-chapter summaries if you want to read something that's a bit longer but not the whole book. Or, of course, you could read the whole book. That's always a good option. But today, I would like to talk about the first book, Skyward. Skyward is my favorite book of Brandon's ever. I love it, and I am excited to talk about it today. Skyward is a book about a girl named Spencer who wants to go to flight school. She lives on this barren planet where all of the human race is clustered into caves and are being attacked by these alien villains, and have been for 70 years now. One of the most revered professions someone can do is to join the Defiant Defense Force and become a pilot who can then directly fight in this war against the Krell, as they call them. Spencer's father was a pilot, but he turned on his people and started attacking them and got shot down and killed. And this has put a black mark on Spencer and her family ever since. Despite this, Spencer really wants to follow in her dad's footsteps and become a pilot, and she's studied really hard to take the pilot's test. She is denied. She is given a different test to everyone else that was purposely given to her so she would fail the pilot's test. But she is taken under the wing of an old pilot called Cobb. Cobb actually flew in the same flight as Spencer's father, Zine Nightshade. Now that is definitely a name. Cobb takes Spencer under his wing and puts her into the flight that he has created called Skyward Flight. The Admiral, Ironsides, refuses to let Spencer live on the base. And that means that she has to live in the caves and then commute in an elevator that takes hours to get to the surface. And this is trying to convince Spencer to leave. Ironsides does not want Spencer there, and it's partially because of her dad, but it's partially because they're worried that Spencer has what's called the defect. And that's because her dad had it. But we will get to that a little later. Spencer decides to go round looking in the caves, and she finds a cave that contains a ship. Spencer calls him Embod. He has a lot of problems with him, and this is where Rig comes in, where he's pseudo-engineering to help Spencer get Embod back in the shape that he can fly. Spencer's going around and stealing the material that she needs, all the while also training to be a pilot. The good thing is, Embod's cave is much closer to the base than the Detritus cave network. So she sleeps in Embod, and he also has a cleaning pod, so sleeps in Embod, cleans herself in Embod, then goes to the base for flight school. Ironsides in that a bit confused how she keeps doing this, but she does. At some point, Spencer gets access to the archives of the DDF through Cobb being sort of shady, but trying not to be. When she finds the archives, she finds this starfighter footage of the battle where her father was killed, and comes to understand that halfway through the battle, her father looked up and saw the stars. Detritus is covered in debris in the atmosphere, so they can't see the outside. They can't normally see the stars. Father goes to try and reach the stars because he can hear them, and he comes back and he starts thinking his friends are the enemy. Hence why he started attacking them and shot them down. In the end, it was actually Cobb that shot him down, and Cobb never flew again because of this. Later, we get a battle where Spencer is shot. And she is in a tailspin, she is going to crash, and people keep saying, eject, 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 but she doesn't because she wants to try and control the crash and land her ship so that it's not destroyed. She does actually control the crash and land her ship, but because she was shut down, she is automatically kicked out of flight school, and Ironsides is very happy about this. With all of the deaths, the people leaving, and people being kicked out, we end up with Jorgen and FM being the only pilots at the end of flight school to actually graduate. And the climax of the book is them going to graduate and then immediately having to go get a acclivity stone from this giant metal thing that has fallen from the atmosphere. They know that the Krell are going to send all their forces to try and stop the DDF getting this acclivity stone. Because if they do, they can build more ships. And it's what allows them to create ships that can fly the way they do. So the DDF sends all of their pilots to this battle. Like literally all of them. And the Krell were bluffing and actually wanted to attack the DDF base and try and destroy the cave system. So while all the DDF pilots flew off to this other battle, the Krell came in to try and destroy the base. Spencer steals a broken ship and then tries to hold off the Krell by herself, because all of the other pilots have sped away and now have to come back and are too far away to get there in time. So Spencer's going around trying to stop this invasion by herself, and the rest of Skyward Flight, who had dropped out, being kicked out, or other, turn up in ships as well that they stole from Arturo's family. Now all of them are trying to hold off this invasion, but now with more of them, they're doing much better for it. They can hold it off enough to get the other pilots back. Some of the pilots do get back, and Jorgen and FM turn up in the first set of pilots that turn up, but they have to deal with this Lifebuster that's coming in to drop its bombs and destroy everything there. Destroy all of the humans that are there. Because Spencer is in a very broken ship, it does not go very well for her, and she goes into another crash. She is again able to control the crash so she doesn't die, but now she is with a broken ship on the ground, unable to help with this invasion that's happening, that's going to attack the Alta base and the Detritus caves. And then suddenly, Cobb turns up in Embot to go rescue Spencer. Do remember, Cobb didn't fly anymore after he shot down his best friend. So it's a big thing for him to pilot a ship right now. But also, he found Embot, and it was because Spencer had a radio transmitter that let her talk to Embot, and Cobb ended up with it. So he followed the transmitter, found the ship, realized that Spencer needed the ship, so flew him to Spencer. So Spencer gets in Embot, and she goes back to the battle, and damn girl, she doing good. She's got this amazing, like, top-of-the-line ship that is so much better than all of the DDF ships, and she is going to town on everything. Eventually, we get to the part where Kimmelin shoots the link that attached the bomb to the ship. Spencer grabs the bomb and speeds away with Embot. Embot can go massive speeds, so she is far, far away. And this bomb is on a timer. So this is the point that we learn more about Spencer's powers, because what she does is she teleports her ship back to the base just before the bomb goes off. So the bomb goes off on this completely empty space and no one is hurt. And Spencer is able to get out alive, which is just really, really cool. Also, during the battle, Spencer has the exact same moment as her father did, where the platforms moved in the atmosphere, giving a small section of stars. Spencer also hears the stars, so decided she wanted to do the same thing as her dad, and said to her friends, yeah, if I come back shooting you, just shoot me. It's a choice. So she goes out because she wants to figure out who the Krell are and what they're doing. And she finds this station and realizes that they're prison guards. And they've been attacking the DDF because they have to keep them contained because the Defiant people are prisoners on this planet, which they don't think they're prisoners. They chose to crash there 70 years ago. They were not put there by someone, but someone has set up a prison for them, and that is why the Krell keep attacking. Embot has special things that stop the Krell from actually invading Spencer's mind, like they did with her dad, so she doesn't go crazy and shoot all her friends. But she goes back, and the very end of the book is Spencer and Rig being acknowledged for what they've done, and Spencer starting to give the information over about the Krell that she found out. Skyward has quite the number of colourful secondary cast characters, including Skyward Flight, Cobb, and Embot. Cobb and Embot I covered largely during my summary, but I wanted to give a little bit more on each of the Skyward Flight members, as we will presumably see them more in the future. First up is Jorgen. Jorgen, the uppity, rules-based, obviously rich boy who becomes the flight leader. And Spencer doesn't like him and nicknames him Jerkface. This becomes his call sign for being a pilot. So that's definitely something. Next up, we have Ned and Arturo. These are two of Jorgen's friends. They come across as lackeys when they first turn up, and there's a little bit in the first book to do with them, but not all that much. Ned is quite the jokester and often will crack jokes at different times to try and relieve the tension. Personally, I actually think Ned is very interesting because I'm gonna take these down. Because he cracks these jokes, but is then also so observant and often will make a joke in a situation to de-escalate things. So I actually think Ned is very interesting, even though not much happens in this book with him. His brother does die, and that leads Ned to leave the DDF because he just stops turning up and they just kick him out because of that. And Arturo, on the other hand, gets pulled out of the DDF by his parents after he is hit in a battle and doesn't die, but has the bejeebas scared out of him. So his parents, also having the bejeebas scared out of them, pull him out of flight school because they don't want to see their son die. Next up, we've got FM. She is also a rich girl, also from the lower caverns where all the rich people live, but she is someone who doesn't believe in a lot of the rhetoric the DDF puts forward and how violence and war, the only way forward for them as a community and in their fight against the Krell. She's part of this group called the Disputers, which dispute what the DDF say. And it is very interesting how her thoughts change over the course of the book, because at the beginning, she's very, no, the DDF is wrong, everything they do is wrong, there's a better way to do it. And then there's a scene about halfway through that's a sleepover and is super cute. And she talks about the Disputers, but she also talks about how she understands a bit more the culture that comes with being a pilot and the family that you get from being a pilot. And that now clashes, or she has to figure out how that fits in with her thoughts on the DDF. She hasn't stopped thinking the DDF is bad, but her thoughts have evolved further. Next up at number 5 is Kimberlyn. And Kimberlyn is honestly my favorite Skyward Flight member. I love the way she acts towards people. I love what she says. She comes from a different cave than the main one, and they throw insults in a very polite way at each other, and she does this all of the time. And it's very clear that Kimberlyn's character and her culture is based off the Southern United States culture. She has this catchphrase that is, "bless your stars," which is just bless your heart, but switching the last word. And it's used in the same way. It can be used for a variety of things. It can be joyful and positive. it can be mocking, it can just be neutral, and I love her so much. And she's just the most happy, cheerful person. When Spencer first gets to the flight school, Kimberlin is the first person she meets, and she just cannot understand how this person is so happy and just enjoys the small things in life so much. And for a while, the flight don't understand why Kimberlin is there. And then they are doing target practice, and they find out that Kimberlin is basically a sniper who has amazing aim and can take the most insane shots. And we get this right at the end where they are dealing with the airship with the bomb, the life buster, and she has to detach the bomb from the ship and hit the small anchor that's holding them together. And it's just such a powerful moment that really makes me shiver every time I read it and I talk about it. I'm shivering right now, I've got the goosebumps, because she's not sure if she can make it. And Spencer repeats something back to her that Kimberlin said when they first met that gives her the courage and the confidence to take that shot. And she damn well hits it. And it was such an incredible moment. Okay, next up, and I'm switching hands because I realized it was going to be backwards. We have got Hurl. Hurl is also a jokester. She's lots of fun. Spencer really connects with her and becomes very good friends with her. Unfortunately, Hurl is killed in like the second third of the book, and this is devastating. Not just to Spencer, but to all of them. They are completely devastated. They are put on medical leave. Spencer and Jorgen go out into the barren wastelands of Detritus, the planet, to find Spencer's ship and her body, because the DDF wouldn't do it because the ship had been destroyed and they couldn't get resources from it. So might as well just leave it where it is. So they go and they give her a proper funeral in their own way before heading back. And it's also a very powerful scene for Spencer and Jorgen, and to try and push their relationship in a much more positive way than it was at the beginning of the book. Number 7, we have got Bim. Bim is really cute. He is obviously based on an Asian culture, and he has bright blue hair and is quite fun. Spencer kind of notices him, is like, damn boy. And he is immediately killed in the first battle, which is very devastating. I shouldn't laugh at that. But he is killed in the first battle, and the next character, Hudea, is also killed in that battle, and that's all we get from them as characters. They're kind of set up as, we need some people to die to show that this book has stakes and to get that tension going about, no, they don't have plot armor. They could die. The one you love could die. And there was a point that I thought Kimberlin was going to die because my book had something right at the end of the right-hand page that was like, oh no, she's gonna die. And I flipped it and she didn't. But, oh no. The heart did not do well with that one. Hudea, as a character, was very quiet, and initially Spencer thinks it's because she is rude, but no, she just doesn't really speak English, and once Spencer finds that out, it changes her entire perception of Hudea as a character and how she interacts with her. But yeah, she dies almost immediately, so that's it. Number 9, yeah, I think I'm up to number 9, Rig. Rig is Spencer's best friend. They have known each other since childhood. They studied for the pilot's test together, and they both got in, and after the first battle, Rig leaves. He does not want to be there. He realizes he does not want to be a pilot, and he was just following Spencer's dreams. And instead, he works as a pseudo-engineer and then actually joins the engineering corps, and he is very good at it. He has a very technical mind and is very good at thinking through problems. So that is Skyward, and that was much longer than I expected. Well, thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that overview of Skyward, which was quite a bit of going through characters as well as plot, but hey, they're relevant later. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.